नमस्कार, annyeonghaseyo. मैं हूँ हर्ष and welcome again to our Study in Korea series. And today we have Arul with us, who is an undergraduate KGSP scholar and about to finish his language school and ready to go to his university for joining his bachelor degree. So we'll know more about Arul and how he came to Korea and how he decided and how is the everything undergraduate application about that. So let's directly go into the interview. Hello, Arul.
네, 안녕하세요. I'm Arul.
안녕하세요. And where are you from, Arul, in India?
Well, I've lived all around India because like my dad had a transferable job, but I'm basically from Delhi, like the capital, so yeah.
Okay, and you came to Korea last year?
Yeah, the 25th of February will mark 1 year, so yeah, almost a year now.
Where was your language training institute?
Okay, so my language training was at Konyang University, which is in a very well, here they call it a village, but in India it's almost like a town called Nonsan, which is very
Nonsan.
close to the big city of Daejeon.
Okay, okay. And like how did you decide to come to Korea? Like what was the inspiration for coming here?
Actually, for me, it was both planned as well as spontaneous. Like I did plan to apply to Korea since before I even came to know about the scholarship, because I personally want to pursue physics, and Korea has a very huge research and development budget, which is pretty different from
Right,
India,
right, right.
right? So their research and development budget to their overall GDP is the highest. The ratio is the highest in the world.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that was one of the main reasons, as well as I was interested in Korean language and culture. I was actually learning the Korean language at the Korean Cultural Center in Delhi when I came to know about the scholarship. So one thing led to another, and I'm here now.
So you came right after you graduated from high school, or you waited? You
Actually, so the thing with us is we need to give up a 6 month period if we come out right after our graduation,
right, right.
because we graduate in April,
March, April, yeah, right.
March and April, whereas the scholarship application is in October. So you need to give up that time period. So what I did was I did apply to universities in India. I took admission there, but then I also applied for this parallelly and
So
got
you
in.
came
So I
next
chose
year. Next year,
yes,
right? Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. That is the only way you can actually come
That's the
because
only way you can go for this.
yeah,
Yes,
right, yeah. So like you came through embassy track, right?
yes.
So, what was the process? What was the basic,
All right.
criteria they were looking for and basic
So
requirements they had?
basically, first to tell you a little bit about the process, there are basically 4 steps. So first, you just fill in the application, get in all your documents in there, and you submit 4 copies of them. And after that, they first just the embassy looks at your documents, and then they choose people for the interview process. In my case, there were 9 people chosen for the interview. After that, they do the interview, and then your names are forwarded to NIIED, which is the organization that gives you the scholarship, which
Right,
is the
right.
National
Institute
Institute for
for
International
International
Education and
Education.
Development.
Right.
So basically, your names are forwarded there. So from the embassy track, 3 people are chosen from India at the moment. And this year, as far as I know, 4 people's names were forwarded, and then NIID makes the final decision, chooses 3 names, and then their applications are given to the universities. Here, actually, I made a slight mistake. But you should choose your universities very carefully.
Right.
Like, not always go after only the top universities, because there are certain, well, you'd call them medium level universities here, like B level, which are really good too. And the
Yeah.
thing is, getting into A level universities is hard even for the Koreans here. Like,
Yeah, it's a very tough competition,
exactly,
right?
like 1%, 2% of the students get into the top sky university, so-called sky universities. So actually, even after that, my applications were forwarded to the 3 universities I applied to. That's the advantage of the university track, of the embassy track over the university track, that you
Yeah,
can
you can
apply to
choose
multiple
three
universities.
universities. Yeah.
So yeah, so after that they were forwarded. Actually, I was accepted just by one of the 3 universities I applied to. I got a little too ambitious, applied to Seoul National and KAIST, and then the third one was Sungkyunkwan. So thankfully, I got accepted by one of them. Actually, before this, also I applied to KAIST 6 months ago. Got rejected then too. But basically, you need to keep at it. It's the process in and of itself isn't very difficult, but there are like parts you need to be careful about. Like, first of all, actually, the percentage you need to apply for it isn't very high. You need an 80 above an 80 percentage, which I'm pretty sure most people in India do have.
Right.
So above an 80 percentage is what you need to apply. I didn't have a very high percentage myself. I had something like an 89 or something, which is honestly that gets you nowhere in India.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of the extracurricular activities, I did a lot of extracurricular activities. I also gave my SAT subject test and my ACT test. Though they're not required in any way, I
But it
feel
will
they
be
might
plus
have given
point.
me a little edge.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So that, and I also had my English proficiency, not Korean proficiency at the moment, but I had my English proficiency. English proficiency does help you like even the embassy says that.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, just it's more like a sum of everything you do, and the interview is also a pretty important part of the process. Is what I feel like. That's more than your knowledge. They see how motivated you really are to go to Korea.
So, what were the basic questions? You don't have to mention all of it. What was the basic question
Okay.
they started with?
So actually, I've heard that people were asked a lot of interesting questions. For me, it was a pretty straightforward interview, to be honest. So they ask you to introduce yourself in Korean if you can. So at the moment, I could speak very little Korean. So it was just my name and my age in Korean because I just
Right.
started learning.
Right.
So I did that. After that, for me, it was a little different because I already got admission in Delhi University at the moment. So, and I was studying physics from there. So they asked me, why do I want to choose Korea, firstly, over other international
Countries.
destinations like the US or the UK, right?
Right.
And then they kept asking me, why physics in Korea? Because Korea is more known for its computer engineering, its
Exactly. IT.
semiconductor engineering.
Right.
Exactly. But for me, in a way, countries like Korea, Japan, and Singapore are three countries in Asia which have a pretty big research and development budget. And they're amongst the developed countries in Asia which now are looking to go towards development and research even in physics. So that was mainly my answer. Plus, another thing is affordability in Korea compared to the US. I mean, the US
Yeah.
is so expensive, especially for undergraduate. And then basically it was that like they asked me why would I want to move from Delhi University to Korea. I mean that I had that pretty clear in my mind because I always wanted to move abroad.
Right. Yeah.
I love India and the universities there, but it just gives you a lot more exposure. And
Yeah.
I knew if not for my undergrad, then for my graduate. But thankfully I got this opportunity and I
So yeah, you
made
basically
it.
have to reply all the question in positive manner. Even if you're doing something, you can
Yes.
just mention that in
Exactly.
there. Yeah.
Actually, one of the scholars for this year asked me that, what if they ask me to point out the strengths and the weakness in Korea? I'm like, you need to be honest, but keep that honesty at 50%.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't be
No,
too
you
critical.
can't.
Don't be too critical.
Exactly. Even if you're critical, you can criticize in a nice way, you know. You
Yeah.
can say something nice, but they do it a little bit too much. So that's not
That's not.
bad.
That's not. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. And you spend 1 year here. So how do you like it? You come at very young age, right? So many people who are coming to Korea at that age, it's suddenly it's a totally different thing for them, especially coming from
Yeah.
India, right? So how do you like it
I
here?
know, actually, just looking around me, there were a lot of people who were homesick, and there are a lot of people who were struggling with the language. There are actually two other Indians here, one from the undergraduate program and one from the graduate program. They also have a few problems here and there about their food habits, especially when we come from India. We don't
Exactly.
eat
Yeah.
beef or pork or sometimes both. There are a lot of vegetarians. For me, I didn't have any of those problems because I eat everything. I eat beef and pork and this and that. So for me, it was pretty easy that way. But I actually really liked the experience here. Like, it gave me an opportunity to meet so many people from so many different countries.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah. That's
so
the good thing about our
many.
KGSP.
I finally have people. I finally know people in so many different countries like Brazil, Uzbekistan. There's a country I came to know about which I didn't even know about. It's called Brunei, and it's somewhere in in Africa. So it was so interesting to mingle with people from so many different cultures and ethnicities, and it was really fun. Also, like I
How about your language? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So actually for me, I fit in better than I expected myself to. But there are a few, secrets on how to do that. Like before coming here, I learned Korean for about 4 months in India. So I did my beginner there and then I came here. So I started from a little bit of a upper beginner level here. And I mean, the secret is the same as any language. Don't be afraid to speak even if you make mistakes. And for me personally, I am a big fan of Korean entertainment. So be it
Right,
Korean
right.
dramas or variety shows or music. So that actually helps you much more than you
Right.
expect yourself to. Because for me, actually, that's what helped me. I didn't like study or cram that much. The thing is, I added words. Like as soon as I saw a new word that I didn't know, you just add it to an app. So like this is something for everyone who's learning Korean. So Naver Dictionary, I'm pretty sure everyone
Right,
like at least
right,
knows
right.
about, right? So you can add words to your word list there. So I have something like 9,000 words in my word list at the moment.
Wow, wow, that's
Obviously, I know
huge.
I know just 2,000 of them, but I just keep
At
adding
least
them so that
you have been exposed to them at least. So you when you
exactly,
see
that's
them,
the
you can
thing.
understand
I
it.
think that's what's very important about the Korean language because it's in some ways it's much more expressive than the languages we know about.
Exactly.
Obviously, languages like some of our southern languages are have words, have quite a few words. Like Telugu and Tamil have a lot of words,
Right, right, right,
but Korean has the dictionary with the maximum words in the world.
right.
Like it has like 1,100,000, whereas the second is 800,000. So I'm like, okay, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
So it's a very expressive language, and to actually do well at it, like there are a lot of like in English we have like just proverbs and idioms, right? And they're pretty easy to know because they use the same words. Whereas here they are very philosophical, and you have like the four character Chinese idioms, which
Right,
are
right.
like
Saja
they're
Songo.
really
Right,
fun,
right.
but at the same time very difficult to remember. So
Yeah.
it's a really fun language to be honest, but yeah, it does require constant effort and time. It's not difficult in any way, but it does require that constant, just like listening to it all the time, trying to read whatever you get, stuff like that.
So how was your settling down process? Like when you come as KGSP scholar, I think it's very different from other people. So
Yeah, so honestly, coming here as a KGSP scholar, I had to do very little with my settling down. Like, from the financial point of view to the demographical point of view, everything was taken care by them. Like, they came to pick us up from the airport. At the airport itself, we like filled out forms to make our bank accounts here. They even gave us a settlement allowance coming in,
right, right,
and we get scholarships every month. Like our dormitory fee is already cut from the scholarship, and we get like a stipend, which is more than enough to survive
survive.
here. To be honest, like we've been surviving on that, and people save huge amounts.
Right, right.
So that's the thing. This scholarship honestly keeps you in a very comfortable position that you don't have to go out of your way to work. Because even in Korea, just like the US, there are a lot of students who need to work because the
Yeah, yeah. The
tuition fees
fees.
aren't exactly very cheap. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. It's
obviously,
compared to
compared to the
India.
US, compared
Compared
to
to
India, exactly.
compared to India.
Compared to
Right,
India, I was studying in DU, right? So my tuition fee was something like 7,000 rupees, which is very very
yeah, which
reasonable.
is
And now come here, it's something like $7,000, and it just
yeah, yeah,
went
yeah.
up exponentially. Obviously, compared to the US, it's almost nothing, but
Ex-
still, for us in India, we cannot really afford education
that
like this,
much.
very,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the thing. A lot of the students, even Koreans, they need to work part-time jobs to support themselves.
Right.
But with this scholarship, thankfully, all you have to do is study. So that's what we're
That's very
getting ourselves
convenient.
into. Like everything's being paid for us. We just need to study. So let's do a better job at it. So yeah.
So was there also some problem or difficulty you face in the settling down? As you said, you are
Honestly,
all over.
I get this question asked so often, and everyone around me has had some problems. I honestly just didn't.
That's
Honestly,
really
like
nice.
from the food, it just it just like it was right to my taste buds. Like I love the food here. I eat things that even some Koreans find difficult to eat. So when I
Yeah,
talk to Koreans about it, they're like, "You eat it?" So
that's
yeah, I mean, not really. And like the people here, actually, I came in a pretty difficult period. I came in right when Corona
exactly,
started getting
exactly.
big. So no going out. Actually, in the beginning, seeing more than five people in the city, you were like, oh, today is, it's a busy day. But now there's so many cars and so many people have
Yeah, now
started
now it has got
little by
all
little.
kind of
Exactly.
normal. Yeah,
So honestly, I didn't have a lot of interaction with Koreans as such. Whereas when you're a GK scholar, you have a lot of opportunities to do that.
exactly. Yeah,
But sadly, because of the coronavirus situation, but still, the staff here was very accommodating. Like the teachers here are like they literally go out of their way to teach you, to make you classes. Like even our teacher even took us to, like, because we can't roam around in big groups, like in smaller groups to different places, and tried getting to know us at a more personal level and stuff like that, which is very commendable, especially when you come from a far away country.
right. Yeah. So you have experienced Korea for 1 year. So what do you like the most about this country?
That's a very very tricky question for me because I mean
You like everything?
everything would be too much, but basically like yeah, from the food I also am really into, like, I haven't read a lot of Korean books yet, but I have bought a lot of them. So I have like my own collection of about like 50 books here,
Wow.
which is a little too much because I have to move now and now it's a problem.
You can. It's
But
like it's easy to send.
yeah,
So
exactly. So books is one thing. The literature here is pretty interesting. Another thing for me is like I said, the Korean entertainment industry. So I'm really into Korean music, not just K-pop, but their ballads and indie rock
exactly,
and
the
stuff
classics
like
as
that.
well.
So a lot of that I buy albums, and that's like what I do for me. So that's the little bit books and albums is what I buy for myself. So yeah, basically it's just getting to know more about Korean culture, the language. Actually, honestly, I really liked the language before coming here, but I really fell in love with it. Like I myself, like, obviously most of us Indians are bilingual, right? We know our
We at
mother
least
tongue and we know
exactly,
English. So
exactly.
we're already bilingual, and coming into Korean, it's in and of itself another very beautiful language. Like I knew how beautiful Hindi and English were, but this has a different kind of charm to it. So that really kept me going at the language. Like it never got boring for me.
So, like, have your impressions changed? Like, you already knew about Korea before, and after coming here, has it changed, or it's still it's same?
Yeah, I mean, if I would be lying if I said it didn't change at all. But yeah, I tried to see both the bad and the good sides in Korea before coming here. Like some people just look at the good, all the glimmer and the fame and stuff like that, and they come here.
Right, right,
It's not all that. Like, obviously, I liked key entertainment. But it was just a part of what made me decide to come here. If you decide to come here, it is very difficult. It's very important to look at the other factors, like what you want to study, and is this really the right destination for you.
exactly.
you know you need to look at the food restrictions, you need to look at the kind of people here, you need to look at, so for us Indians it's still okay because we have a lot of pressure in our universities in India too, but Korea again has a crazy amount of pressure on students and on studies. I mean, most
Right.
Asian societies do, but for us it's
Among
okay.
them, Korea is.
Exactly. Even among them, they're known for their pressure on studies. So you really need to take into account stuff like that. Otherwise, the impression I had about people was remained the same. Like they were very nice, very helpful. Like it is said, yeah. One thing is there that you do need Korean to survive. Honestly, to some level that is true. But the thing is, I personally felt there were a lot more people speaking English in Korea than I expected.
Yes, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Now many
yeah,
people speak. They try to
exactly.
convey their thought. They, even you don't understand, they try to use the dictionary and other stuff, and he'll like,
Yes, exactly. And that was very surprising to me because a lot of people have that impression about Korea that, they'll only speak in their language, whereas that's not it. Like they always try to at
yeah,
least
express.
accommodate you, even if they
Ex-
don't know it. Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. So
Exactly.
yeah, but that being said, knowing Korean is a very big advantage to you surviving here. Like
Mm.
when I initially came here, I was lucky, and my roommate already knew a lot of Korean. So because of that, I picked it up pretty quick, and now I can make out the difference from 1 year ago. I used to be very awkward just going and asking people for stuff. Right now, what's awkward is the more abstract concepts like physics and stuff like that. But in
Right.
daily life, Korean just comes so beautifully, and you become a little more confident. Obviously, there's a lot more to learn, but yeah, you
Yeah,
get that confidence little by
you see
little.
the difference. Yeah, you see the difference. And as you haven't been to your university yet, I would just want to say, would you recommend this scholarship, like whole all over scholarship, to any Indian who is
Oh,
coming, come after 12th, in any other subject, not just in physics, any other subject they want to come? Would you recommend?
definitely. Like this scholarship is literally like it's a gift. I mean, there are no other words for it. It's I got lucky. I tell myself like I got lucky getting here, but because this scholarship is really a one of a kind scholarship. Like not a lot of countries have their governments offer such
A huge,
lucrative scholarships to
right,
students.
right, right.
Obviously this right now its admission rate isn't very high, like its competition rate isn't very high, like for undergraduates 100 to 1 approximately, or like 80 to 1, which
Yeah,
honestly
much,
isn't
much
as
better than
high.
IITs and everything, right?
Exactly what I was gonna say. Not as bad as IITs, right?
Yeah.
But I do have a feeling with the expansion of K culture in India, like how it's blowing up these days. I feel like this scholarship, like a lot more people are going to start applying to it if it gets widely known, because it is a beautiful, scholarship to apply to. You literally get everything paid for. All you need to do is study. The thing is, I do realize a few people will shy away. Like I sometimes tell even my brother to apply for it, but he also shies away from learning the language. Honestly, for some people it might be a little bit of a disadvantage, or a difficulty, but for me it was one of the reasons that made me choose the scholarship. Like I wanted to learn the
Right,
language. Like
right, right.
why not? It's an added benefit. You get to learn a language
Exactly,
and you get to do
exactly,
your undergraduate,
exactly.
and so that's actually the beautiful part of the scholarship. You don't just do one thing. You do the language, and then you do what you want to do, which is actually a very beautiful thing. And honestly, 1 year for a language, if you actually give it your all, it's enough to get you to a pretty decent level.
Okay, that's really nice to hear. And the last part I really want to ask, like many of our viewers, they ask that, like when you submit the document, you submit it like in one set or like three set, or like how many?
Yes. 4 sets.
Four sets, and
So to
you
explain a little bit more, one set is for the embassy, and
yes.
the other three are for the three universities you apply to. So
So
these documents go to the university just as they are.
so you submit all the same documents in four sets, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
what about like Koreans? They ask for like original documents, but in India we don't get original. No, only get one original copy. So how about that?
Actually, I had that problem too, but thankfully, I knew someone in the embassy, and she told me you can definitely just give copies. So in my case, I have all my original documents with me, and I submitted 4 copies of them. But another thing that's important is, for example, if you have your high school graduation certificate and other things like your transfer certificates and stuff like that, you need to get them stamped by your university or your school. So they
Okay.
need to be stamped by the principal or by like the school stamp, and the rest of them, for them, I self-attested them. Not necessary for all of them, but it's better. It's recommended that you self-attest them. So yeah, so basically, I just submitted 4 copies and there was no problem, because in a way, if you look at it, the original copy is kept with the embassy, and the embassy is okay with looking at copies of them too, because the copies are what are going to go to the universities in the long run.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. And would you give any specific advice to all like people who want to come
All
to Korea
right.
for undergraduate scholarship
Well,
or
there are a lot of
undergraduate?
things I can think of, but I'll just trim it down to a few points. First of all, just like don't be too afraid to apply to it. A lot of people just don't apply to it just because they won't get accepted. I feel like it's a good opportunity, even if you just get to the interview round. Just the whole process is a very good
Yeah, it's a
is a
learning
very good
process.
experience for you. Exactly. And another thing is related to Korean, just what I feel is surround yourself with Korean. If you're learning Korean, even if you're not coming here, just surround yourself in every way. And as per me, this is just a personal opinion of mine, but the variety shows in Korea, so-called variety shows, the reality shows, help you a lot because they have quizzes on proverbs, on idioms, and
Right,
on
right,
history
right.
of Korea, right? And you can learn so much from them. Like I sometimes just pause it and note down all the idioms they're using and stuff like that. So just yeah, and flexibility is pretty important. So that's one thing I just want to tell everyone. Obviously,
You should
they
be
try
ready
their
to be
best.
molded.
Exactly. You don't need to come here with a very stiff opinion of everything because then you will get let down
Exactly,
because
yeah.
that's
That is
exactly.
basic. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's for every foreign country, and thankfully, I've noticed that even the other Indians here, they're very flexible. From what I have noticed, some people from other countries are. I have seen them in
Yeah, you shouldn't
conflicts
be
with the
judgmental
staff.
about things.
Exactly. Indians are pretty, like we even have our jugards, right? So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
we're
We
used
can.
to, uh, getting by with stuff.
Thank you so much. I think it's very informative, and I think it will help a lot all our viewers and all the people who are applying for this. Thank you so much, Arul Sri,
Not a
and
problem.
we hope like we wish you best for your undergraduate journey
Thank
and
you so
everything.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.